We begin with a further fall from grace for Britain's Prince Andrew as the sexual abuse case against him in the US is allowed to proceed. The Queen's second son is being stripped of all military titles and royal charity roles. A royal source says he will also lose the use of his title, His Royal Highness. The Duke of York held 8 military titles, most notably Colonel of the Grenadier Guards, which came with a big role in the annual trooping of the colour ceremony. CNN Royal correspondent Max Foster with more.
Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, will no longer be called His Royal Highness, according to a royal source, and all his military titles and royal patronages have been returned to the Queen, and he won't get them back, the source says. He's still part of the family, but he's out of the firm. He'll focus instead on defending himself as a private citizen in a US lawsuit. The decision followed a US judge's ruling this week that a civil sex abuse case against Prince Andrew can proceed. Virginia Giuffre says she was only 17 when she was trafficked by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to the royal, who she alleges sexually abused her in 3 different locations. Prince Andrew denies her allegations and says he never even met her. Giuffre's lawyer told the BBC he didn't think his client was interested in a purely financial settlement. A source close to Andrew says, quote, "This is a marathon, not a sprint, and the Duke will continue to defend himself against these claims."
Not comfortable to have to sit there and answer questions in this lawsuit. He's not going to be able to evade and dodge. He's going to have to step up now and answer.
Andrew has been under scrutiny for years for his relationship with the late Epstein and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Though the relationships have damaged his reputation, the prince hasn't been charged with any criminal wrongdoing. Maxwell was also found guilty last month on 5 federal charges, including sex trafficking of a minor.
To Newsnight for about 6 months.
After a disastrous UK TV appearance in 2019, where he tried and failed to clear his name, the Duke temporarily stepped back from public duties.
I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened.
The lawsuit is another blow to the 95-year-old Queen, who in the past year has endured the death of her husband, Prince Philip, and been levelled with allegations of institutional racism against the palace by her grandson, Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and wife Meghan, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey. At the time, the palace described the claims as concerning and said they'd be dealt with privately. Who knows how she feels as a mother and grandmother about the family's trials and tribulations, but as a monarch, she's known to put duty first, and casting Andrew out was the only way she could protect the family firm from further reputational harm. Max Foster, CNN, Hampshire, England.
Joining me now from Los Angeles is Sandro Monetti. He's a trustee of the Royal Society of St. George and a royal watcher for us. Good to see you, my friend. So Prince Andrew effectively stripped of royal patronages, military commissions, won't carry out public appearances, no His Royal Highness. Effectively a private citizen now, isn't he? How much of a fall has this been for the Queen's second eldest?
The Duke is in disgrace. You know, 2022 was supposed to be a good year for the royal family. Coming up is the 70th anniversary of the Queen on the throne. Instead, this year is overshadowed by the Prince Andrew scandal. And looking at that statement, it's so cold and stark. Imagine if this had been handled differently. The royal family could have said, "We love you, Andrew. We'll fight this as a family." They could have waited to let the system play out and see what was the outcome of the sex assault lawsuit. Instead, they've acted swiftly, decisively, and decided that Andrew is so toxic, he needs to be thrown out in the garbage.
Yeah, now, I guess the case against him, we must say, it's far from resolved one way or the other. He denies the allegations, but it really does show how embarrassed the family is, the firm, by the revelations and accusations, even unproven.
Absolutely. They want to distance themselves from this as much as possible. So talks went on at the highest level. I'm talking the big 3, the Queen, Charles, and William, clearly all in agreement, putting out that statement today on behalf of the royal family that Andrew has to fight this case as a private citizen. And yes, Prince Andrew has continued to deny the sexual assault claims, but the royal family have taken this decision today, and it's a devastating one. There's no way back for him, and I think losing the military titles will really make him reflect with sadness, especially because this year is the 40th anniversary of the Falklands War, in which Prince Andrew served as a helicopter pilot, and he won't be able to take part in any of the anniversaries for that or any more military functions ever again. The royals have acted decisively and swiftly.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, hopefully it doesn't sort of overshadow the Queen's Platinum Jubilee year, because that is a huge deal. I wanted to ask you this too, because it's interesting. How might he fund his defence, or if there's a settlement, how might he pay for that if that option arises? I mean, who pays the bill? His life is largely funded, not completely, but largely by his mother.
Well, absolutely. You know, he has a pension from his services career. He gets, I think, 323,000 a year in salary. But these legal bills are going to go, I expect, much higher than that. So yes, he depends on his mother. So you know, will the Queen pay the bills? Will Prince Andrew decide to go all the way and take this to court and seek to clear his name? I know you say hopefully it won't overshadow the Jubilee. It will. This is going to be the main story of the year. As see how this plays out in for us royal watchers.
A good point. I mean, I guess, you know, when you think about you know, Prince Andrew, what does all of this say about his judgment about his friends, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and so on? Pretty poor judgment.
Another example of poor judgment was when he gave his TV interview with the BBC to defend himself. One of the most inept PR exercises of all time, and that only served to incriminate him in the court of public opinion. A lot of public opinion turned against Andrew at that time. And so, yes, he hasn't done much to help himself, and the royal family have clearly said, okay, we've had it with you, you're out on your own, don't get us involved in this scandal. He's repeatedly made bad judgments, you know. So you know, if he's whatever he's guilty of, he's definitely 100% guilty of bad judgment and bad choices and terrible PR.
Yeah, yeah. You know, even if nothing huge comes from these allegations, is there, do you think, any way back for him in terms of a royal role?
Zero. He's finished. We'll never see him again on the balcony with the Queen. You know, there's no way back that personally that I can see, and it'd be very difficult to imagine the royal family welcoming him back. Anything's possible, but I wouldn't bet the house on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sandro, good to see you. Sandro Manetti there for us.
God save the Queen.